Hiya and welcome back to the Habit Hacker podcast. Today's episode is a super special episode because not only do we have a relationship with a food specialist, a diet culture rebellion, but we have my partner and soulmate Gabbi joining us to give us her wisdom, share her experience and enlighten us with some knowledge of how to lose weight, especially if you're a woman who has experienced being brought up throughout the 90s and noughties with all the absolute, pardon me French, bullshit that you've been told and fed about your body. So, I know I've just introduced you, but Gabs, if you would like to, tell us a little bit more about who you are, who you coach, and how you help the women that you help.
Yeah, well, I'm Gabbi, like you just said. And I'm a weight loss coach, like we're both weight loss coaches. But my weight loss method is by working on your relationship with food to lose weight. So I think like it's the difference is it's like weight loss isn't the center. Like a lot of weight loss advice is do this workout, eat these calories, you'll lose weight. Whereas I like to look at it differently. We use mindful eating, work on your body image, work on mindset. And by doing those things, then weight loss kind of happens as a side effect rather than like it being everything in you, changing your whole life upside down just for weight loss. We do that by working on your relationship with food. And the women that I work with mostly are like what I like to call diet culture rebels, where you're kind of over diet culture. You've spent like the last 10, 15 years doing these diets, failing them, gaining weight back, doing them again, failing them, gaining the weight back. And you're at a point where you're like, fuck that. Like, that's actually not it. But you still want to lose weight. It's like the diet culture rebellion method, which is like my weight loss program, is like the in-between of that, where you can give up the diet and the shit that you've been doing, but you don't have to give up weight loss. And I think that's kind of like a misconception and somewhere where a lot of women end up falling into and then feeling even worse of like just giving up on
or blaming themselves.
Like giving up on their weight loss, giving up on reaching their potential, giving up on something that actually means a lot to them, feeling comfortable, feeling confident, because they've had to give up the diet. Whereas like there actually is somewhere in between where you can lose weight whilst not having to do the fucking
sacrificing and restricting and hating your life to get there.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. So let's start kind of like right at the beginning. So obviously we're talking about your unique way that you help women lose weight, which is by working on their relationship with food. So if there was someone who was a little bit like, relationship with food? What do you mean by that? Like, is that even English? I've never really heard of that before. How would you explain what your relationship with food is and how that is made up?
So I think it's easy to understand by thinking that you have a relationship with everything. Like you have a relationship with money, you have a relationship with work, you have a relationship with your partner, with your family, with like animals. Like some people are scared of dogs, some people aren't.
Yeah.
Like you literally have a relationship with everything.
People, objects, like travel, obviously that's not an object, but like, yeah, you've got a relationship and how you find and feel around these things with everything in your life. So food being one of the main ones.
Yeah, and like I think with food, which I'll come back to that to be fair. But like so your relationship with these things, food, like in this specific example, like this is made up from like so much. It's your beliefs around food, what you've been taught to believe around food, your experiences with food, what you've seen with food. Like it's anything from the magazines that you read, which obviously people don't read magazines now,
but they did.
But if they did, which is now like social media, TikTok,
influencers,
Instagram, YouTube, even like fucking shitty little like articles, to be fair, which is like the equivalent of magazines now.
Yeah, I've had many a client send me an article and be like, Adam, what do you think of this? I'm like, uh-oh.
There's some mad shit on there. And so like all of these things, like all of this information that you're taking in, this is developing, this is creating your relationship with food. And especially if you've always struggled to lose weight. And I think like a good example of, because I'm very of the belief that like the more diets that you've tried and failed, the worse your relationship with food will be. So especially if you're someone who maybe tried your first diet when you were like, we'll say 17.
Yeah, teenager.
And you were like, right, this is kind of good. Because I remember the first time I lost weight, like on very, very low calories, like a very gaunt version of myself.
Yeah.
But I was like, wow, it worked. It never ever worked that well ever again, like doing those low calorie diets. Because it's like the first time you do it, you're like, right, this is sound. But it kind of fucks your relationship with food. So then you overeat, you gain the weight back. And you're like, I'll do that diet again because that worked. But you're finding it harder this time because you've kind of like got that little bit of trauma from the previous diet, and it's kind of fucked your relationship with food. And then if you're going through that cycle, because a lot of women, they'll do that like 3-4 times in a year.
Yeah.
So if you're like doing a diet over 10 years, that's what, like 40 times that you've tried something and failed. And like by that 40th time, you feel like you're the problem. You feel like your body's broken. You feel like
nothing works for you.
No food agrees with you. And especially the diets that you will have tried, you've then taken in this information of like, carbs are bad. Actually, no, carbs are good. Fat's bad. Actually, no, it's good. You should eat more fat, but you should eat less fat. You shouldn't eat these foods. Maybe you should try eating like, don't eat bananas, but you could chew them, but like, don't eat them. Like, this is so, and then
if you mash
like,
them up, you can have them, but if you eat them just straight out of its skin, then no.
And you've spent like 10 years
creating
in this battle.
Yeah.
Then you get to that point where you're like, what the fuck? Like, I'm actually a lost cause. Like, I cannot lose weight. But it's not you. Like, you aren't the problem. It's not your fault. It's not your body. It's not any specific food. It's literally the way that your relationship with food has developed from like all of these years.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think one thing which I know contributes massively, which I feel like we haven't touched on, is your parents' relationship with food and how they... So like for me and one of my old clients, one of the rules in our house when we were growing up was you couldn't have dessert unless you finished your plate.
Me too.
Well, yeah, it happened in your house as well. So with obviously your parent always has your best interest at heart, of course they do. However, with that little rule, you would then find yourself unknowingly overeating, so then you could have dessert just because, for me anyways, I've got a massive sweet tooth. You know what I'm like. Baked goods are literally the key to my heart. So yeah, it's kind of overeating even when you are full to then be able to have dessert, which obviously your parents just like, oh, I want you to eat, like you need these nutrients, like you're better to eat than not to eat, sort of thing. But that kind of masked for me tuning into my hunger and fullness signals, which is something that you've definitely massively helped me with over the past few years, because I think especially when you are dieting and you're trying to lose weight, a big part of that, I'm not sure if you can hear that, but that's the dog itching his own ear underneath the table. But yeah, sorry, a big part of having a healthy relationship with food and making sure that that body weight is coming down gradually over time is really understanding those signals that your brain and your body are connecting with from either a satiation and a fullness standpoint, or from, which we have talked about before, a hunger standpoint, but not letting the hunger get too intense so that your kind of decisions are poor, you eat and you can't stop eating and like you're almost ravenous, but also not getting full to the point where you couldn't go for a walk after a meal, like you feel sluggish, you feel bloated, you feel just, a bit meh. So yeah, with that would be, the question that I'm trying to ask would be, in terms of tuning into that hunger and fullness response, have you got any tips or tricks or things which you implement with clients to help them start to learn that those cues that your body obviously has and the biofeedback that it gives you, but actually tuning into that and listening to those signals?
Yeah, I think like the main thing, and the thing that, although I help people lose weight by working on their relationship with food, mindful eating, like it's not just about the calories. I mean, essentially it is, but like it's not just like eat these calories, do this workout, you'll lose weight.
Yeah.
I was losing my train of thought there.
I was double checking that I definitely pressed record. I did.
I was like, what is that?
Not again. You wouldn't believe we've just done a 15-minute starting episode and then had to fucking do it again because the microphones weren't turned on. Sorry. But yeah, any tips or tricks that you would give your clients to help them tune in?
Although like relationship with food, mindful eating is like the crux of it and how we're essentially going to create that calorie deficit, it's still so important that you're getting the right nutrients, because that is also going to affect you being able to know if you're hungry or full. Because yes, you should have breakfast, lunch, dinner. It's also so important that you're getting the right nutrients, that you're getting fibre, protein, carbohydrates,
Vitamins,
fats.
minerals.
Yeah, you're getting all of that from your food, because that's going to contribute to your body being like, sound like we've got enough food to last us, for your stomach being full. So like the main thing would be that you're hitting all the bases, like you're eating enough in your meals.
Yes.
But aside from that is, I think I have a method that I use with clients, which is called the snack method. That's how I kind of introduce mindful eating, and like it's like SNACC for snack method, and they all stand for like different things, so that it's basically a pause to put in between you wanting the snack and you eating the snack. But like you can kind of still use that, I suppose, when you're eating, like listening to your hunger and fullness cues. But like one of the things is like, have I eaten enough? Like, have I gotten enough? Is this answering your question? I feel like I've gone.
Yeah, no.
I got confused, thrown off by that.
Well, I think the biggest thing for me was that I've implemented is taking my time whilst eating. Because especially when I eat what's like known as hyperpalatable food, so like really tasty food that you eat and your eyes run the back of your head and you're like, oh my god, this tastes amazing. And for me, that's normally like brownies, cookies, cheesecake, etc. and so forth. So for me, especially if I'm eating like a takeaway, like a pizza or a Chinese, or I'm having one of those baked goods, I used to find myself just having the plate under my chin and just smashing it as fast as I could, because I'm like, oh my god, this tastes amazing. Whereas now, I almost see it as like a little game. Say if I go out for food with me mates, I'm like, can I be the last one to finish my meal?
Yeah.
Aye. And I'm like, I notice how fast they eat, because that used to be me. And then what allowed me to really actually tune into my hunger and fullness signals and enjoy the food more and the flavours more is actually appreciating every bite. And I don't mean, do you know what I mean? Like, that's just one of the dogs in the street going wild. But yeah, I don't mean like, do you know what I mean? Like eating like a snail and being there for 4 hours. Aye, but like, just actually chewing the food, enjoying the food. Like obviously, when you have a plate of food, you've got like different, like a carb, veggies, protein, etc. And like actually making different mouthfuls with different types of food on the plate. I'm weird because I normally like to have, this is such a side tangent, but I normally like to have at least a little bit of something on every forkful. And I like to like evenly eat it so that I've got an even amount on every forkful until the last bite. But anyways, that was such a random.
To be fair, I eat more like that sometimes, and it does make some meals more enjoyable.
Yes, I'm glad you.
Because I used to be quite, I'll finish this.
Yes, and then I'll move on to that. Leave that all last. Yeah. But yeah, just like the pace that I eat. And one of the strategies that I implement with clients who I find, or how I used to eat really quickly, is to put your cutlery down between every mouthful, which allows you to then basically enjoy the food more, tune into your hunger fullness signals, and also, especially if you're in a social setting, actually interact and have that sort of like social connection rather than you just, as say, being face down in the food. And just kind of eating for the sake of I am starving and I just want to be full. It's like, no, I'm actually enjoying the meal and enjoying the flavours, etc. and so forth. So I think that's been a massive thing for me, learning about those hunger and fullness signals and actually being able to be like, do I need to eat more? Do I not? I mean, I'm not perfect. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes I do just end up eating eating more than I maybe need to. But as I say, we're all human, and yeah, I think that's been a big part. A big part of that.
I've took loads of notes of things I have
Great.
to say now. I think the thing as well, like as you were saying there about I put my knife and fork down between every bite, and like to someone that might be like, fucking hell, that's a bit intense. But like with things like this, it's like you don't have to do that forever.
No.
It's like you might just do that for a week so that you can like start to learn these things about yourself. And I think that's like the most important thing with your relationship with food is like you're actually learning what you want, what you need, how different foods make you feel. Because you might even find that, especially if you're not, because with mindful eating, like obviously you're talking about going out for food with your friends, but a really good other example is when you're eating, when you're watching telly.
Yeah.
Like your brain isn't even registering, especially, you know, when we're watching a stressful bit on the telly, sometimes you're literally glued and you're like not even looking at your food. You can eat like a handful of crisps or chocolate buttons or something and you've not even really enjoyed it, you've not even really tasted it.
Yeah.
And like that's not to say like you can never eat chocolate buttons in front of the telly again, but sometimes just a period of like actually noticing when you're eating and are you enjoying that food? Is it even doing for you what you want? Like what are you, why are you reaching for that food? Which is like, again, a lot of people, there's so many reasons to eat as well. And I think that's like why I really believe, like going back to something that you said before, when you were saying about like parents and like things that your parents taught you, and your parents have that belief. So whether it could be like you have to finish everything on your plate before you have dessert, or whatever other unhinged like
diet rules
there was. But like your parents and our parents are saying that because their parents did.
Yeah.
And their parents are saying that because their parents did. And like this has been going on, this is like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years back. And like you can't really just diet yourself out of that conditioning.
Aye.
Like following a meal plan or reducing your calories, like that's not addressing that.
Yes.
And what tends to happen, like as soon as you stop that meal plan or you get to your goal weight, you resort back to those old thinking patterns, which is why like when you work on your relationship with food, you're starting to learn these things like, why do I eat that food? What would I rather eat? Do I even want to eat that food? Like, what do I actually want from food? Who told us that? Like, when was the first time I heard that? You know, when you think things like, you might be like, oh God, I can't have carbs, they're bad. Why do you think that? Like, question these things, and often you'll find that they're not actually truth. Like, there's no truth to it, and then you can start building your own rules and making your own decisions. And that's when you stop regretting food. Because that's like a big, I would almost arguably say like that's the only food that you really need to reduce eating, is the food that you're wishing that you hadn't ate.
Yeah.
Can you remember like back when you used to regret eating food and be like, why the fuck did I eat that?
Yeah. Because like my dietary habits, especially throughout my teens and early 20s, was I would eat clean Monday to Saturday. Eat clean, I say that in quotation marks, but yeah, like eat nutritious food pretty much only Monday to Saturday, and then on Sunday like have a full-blown cheat day. And one, I was wondering why I wasn't getting any further forward, because basically I was dieting all week just to then pretty much eat all the calories that I created for that deficit in one day on the Sunday. But also I would end up eating like full cheesecakes or full boxes of cereal, and after that I'll be like I don't feel great. Like I can imagine my digestion in the morning is going to be very interesting. Regretting eating so much, but I ate that much because I was depriving myself from it. And it was like basically putting it on a pedestal, being like, you can't have this, you can't have this, you can't have this. And then I get that green light and that free pass on a Sunday. And it's like, you can have it, and then you want to eat it and you don't want to stop. So I think for me, what a massive part of overcoming that was the 80-20 principle of basically having 80% nutritious food every day, and then having around 20% quote unquote like junk food every day. So I'm having like chocolate, even though I'm dieting, I'm still eating chocolate every day. Even though I'm dieting, I'm still having something that makes us have that pleasure response, which I love getting from food. And I don't feel like I'm missing out. So when it gets to the Sunday, I'm like, oh well, I'm still going to have a bit of chocolate anyways, so I don't need to have the whole bar, the whole box, or the whole packet.
Yeah, and you don't take steps back that way, because I could never really, because I used to do the same, and I would be like, I couldn't really fathom that. Like I thought that my dieting, eating less, and the progress that I made there was like completely separate than this like hour where I was eating like thousands and thousands of calories.
Yes.
Like I kind of didn't really think or believe that was like offsetting the calorie deficit that I'd created. Yeah, like I didn't believe, like I never really fathomed, I could never really connect like why I wasn't losing weight from like the effort that I was putting in during the week, like eating 1,200 calories a day or something, which for like someone of my size, like tall,
Yeah.
like that's pretty low calories. But obviously it was because I was eating all of that deficit back within like hours
Yeah.
at the weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I didn't really, I couldn't really understand because that was so much time. I've spent 5 or 6 days starving.
Yeah.
So if I'm eating just for an hour or two, like how
Is that undoing
Yeah.
all of that work? Yeah, I can relate to that.
I just couldn't. It took me years, like
figure it
literally
out.
decades, to like realize that like that was a big part of the problem of why I was struggling to lose weight. And it is because you said it's like the restriction. Like I was having nothing. Do you know what I used to do? I always wonder if anybody else used to do this. I had a note in my phone. So when I was like, I'm not eating anything, I would just write down what I fancied. So I'd be like, oh, Maltesers, I could eat some Maltesers, I'll put them in the note.
I'll write it in the notes.
Oh, McDonald's, like 5 chicken kickers, fucking cheeseburger, mozzarella dippers, yeah, put that in the note. And then like, by the time the weekend came, it was like...
your list.
Literally. And then I would like eat all of that and like, that's really fucking unhinged. And like, if I just had... which is what I do now. If I had like that unconditional permission to eat, I don't get at the weekend and be like, I need to eat, I need to get it all in. It's like, no, I've had it, and you have so much more balance. And then like, I get that it seems counterproductive to people to like eat more and then lose more weight, but like you're not really eating more. You're just like not having fucking hundreds and hundreds of,
if not thousands of calories, in one sitting.
You're kind of balancing it throughout the week, and then you don't get to that point where you're like,
I need some tasty food.
Inject me with sugar.
Yeah, no, I get that. But yeah, I think if there was kind of like one topic which we haven't really spoke about, where it comes to kind of like the specific group of women that you coach, is like we've covered the relationship with food, but kind of like the diet culture side of things. So again, very similar to the question that I asked you about like relationship with food. If someone was listening or watching, depends how they want to view this episode. If they were to have never heard about diet culture and what that looks like, how would you kind of best describe that to someone who didn't really know what it was?
I think diet culture, to me, like in a summary, diet culture is that pressure on women to be skinny, thin,
Small,
no matter what. Like that is like essentially what diet culture is. But like it's made up again. Like come back to magazines, it's always the magazines. But it's like things like what always used to get me about magazines, and I think like this is really what created the problem. I mean, the companies benefit from this problem, and it still goes on now on Instagram, of like telling you the body shape that you should be, showing you the bodies that are disgusting. You shouldn't look like this. This is wrong. Like this is fat. You should look like this. But then the advice that they would give you was never going to help you. It was never going to help you look like these perfect pictures that they're telling you to look like. And I think like that's a huge part of diet culture, of like the pressure, like be skinny, look like her, be perfect, be toned, have no cellulite, have no stretch marks, like have no body fat, like be this perfect, like almost child, like, let's be honest, like the way that the fucking world's going now, like it really is modelled around fucking child's body, like women's expectations. And then like we start believing that it's like girls are as young as like 5 and 6 make comments of wanting to reduce the body fat that they have.
Yeah, like 5 or 6 and they're already showing displaying signs that they're being affected by diet culture. Yeah.
And then you have that for another 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years.
Yeah.
Like, and that's why you get to that point where you really don't like almost value yourself. Like you have low self-esteem, you have low confidence, you don't feel comfortable in your skin. And like, that's not to say like, again, like I am always like fucking diet culture off. Like I'm very much against diet culture. However, that doesn't mean that I don't believe that you can want to lose weight.
Yeah.
I think like it's very valid if that's your goal. It's just like how you approach that. It's kind of doing it in a way that's not benefit in diet culture, if that makes sense. So it's more the, you know, the really strict diets, the like the keto, the
Yeah.
like those sorts of things.
The stupid hip workouts.
Yeah.
The fucking what's it called? 75 hard.
Yeah,
or
like,
all that jazz.
That's the diet culture where like we're not, because that's not going to help. And I feel like you know by now that it's not going to help.
Yeah.
But it's like recognizing that. But that doesn't mean that you have to give up weight loss. That doesn't mean that you can't lose weight. It's just like there's a different way of doing things now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And I think for me, what I was shook when I first seen them was the like snippets and clippings of these magazines and what they used to say and how they used to portray the social acceptance or social norm of a woman's body. And if someone, i.e. a celebrity, had put on a bit of weight, like they were publicly shamed in these magazines. It's like, it sounds, obviously for me, like I didn't grow up reading those magazines. Like I'm, do you know what I mean? I grew up watching, reading fucking football magazines or like, I don't know, like mountain biking shit. Do you know what I mean? But like, yeah, when you shown us those for the first time, I was taken back to being like, how was this ever being allowed to be published? Like, this isn't okay. It makes no sense.
And that's why I'm always like heavy on like, for example, like Ozempic is like the newest
weight
sort
loss fad.
Yeah, which like has its place, has its benefits, but like it's not really, its intended use isn't really the way that it's being used quite often.
Not, yeah.
And like celebrities are being kind of like blamed and shamed for like promoting these weight loss products, but like they're all just victims of diet culture, just the same as we are, the same as like I am, as your mum was, like my mum was. And so like I always think about that, like I never blame like celebrity culture like too much. Like, I mean, I'm sure there could be more, some of them could be more accountable to like the impact that they have.
Yeah.
But I'm still very of the belief that like every single woman is a victim of diet culture just as much as the next woman.
Yes.
And I think like it's interesting what you said. Like you were like, I was reading like mountain biking, like football and stuff.
Football magazine.
And like that's the thing. Like men tend to be like not push, but like encouraged to do like group sports and like team building and like, you know what I mean? And then because of that, you build this muscle from the fucking young age and like you have these healthy activities and stuff. Whereas like for women and girls, it's more like
competing against each other. Yeah. Like
be skinnier than her.
Yeah.
Lose more weight than her. Like she's gained weight. Like that's disgusting, but like, you shouldn't gain weight. And like
pitting them against each other rather than being like connecting in kind of like we rise by lifting others sort of thing.
And then that's like the slippery slope. Like that starts when you're very young, and then it's like the conditioning from then. And like it isn't going to change. Like I like to hit this point of like realistically it's not going to change, not in our lifetime. Like not in the next 100 years. It's not going to change. Like it will change, like it always changes. Like it's Ozempic now, it was fat asses and skinny waists 10 years ago. 10 years before that it was like pretty much the same as it was. Like it always changes, but it's still these like expectations. And I think like you have to recognize like you can't just wait around for the system to change. Like you can make changes whilst living within the system. That sounds really fucking deep. But also like not being like too hard on yourself, because recognizing that this is what we're surrounded by. Yeah,
like the first thing that came to my mind was it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. So I would say like one of my favourite sayings as well is play the best hand with the cards you've been dealt. And the cards that we've been dealt are, we've got all these amazing things, smartphones, laptops, like we can access information faster than we've ever been able to for the whole of human existence, but also everything has its trade-offs. So it's like, yes, we live in a world where you can get access to really tasty, very high calorie dense food from pressing a few buttons on your phone, or you can not have to expend as many calories walking up the stairs because we've got lifts and escalators now. So like the world is primed for us to gain weight, but that isn't your fault, but it is your responsibility if you want to have a happy and a healthy time on this dust bowl we call Earth, to actually manage that. Because if you aren't conscious about how much you move and you aren't conscious about how much you eat, you are literally destined to gain weight with the world that we live in right now. So yeah, obviously feeding that back into diet culture would, just kind of like, it links the dots between how relationship with food and diet culture kind of go hand in hand, from the aspect of like everything that you've been told from the media, whether that's like news or TV or magazines or podcasts or even songs, like song lyrics and stuff. Like we could talk about this all day, but between that and how that shapes your beliefs around yourself, around food, around health and fitness, like it's that clusterfuck, one of a better word, of how a lot of women, especially, obviously I'm not just removing men because I've had a lot of male clients who went through a very, very similar sort of experience. Maybe it's not as intense, but very similar experience, especially with like maybe say bullying and stuff, which again, another side tangent. But and like how that links into why so many people have the goal of losing weight.
Yeah.
Because we've been put in this position where, we, as a society, we are getting bigger and we are eating more and moving less and all that comes with it.
And I think that also like leads on to like life's pretty fucking heavy at times. Like not to like lower the tone, but like life's
throws
very
its curveballs. Yeah.
And like not even just individual, but like as a whole, like the bigger things, and food tends to be a comfort for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you can't really just manage your calories to
lose weight. You've got to manage your stress. You've got to manage, if you've had a bad, I would say like if you're in a loveless, sexless relationship and you hate your job, one of the only things you're going to get pleasure from on a daily basis is food, because you're not getting pleasure anywhere else. You spend 40 hours a week at work, you see your partner every hour that you're home. Like, if the only thing that gives you some sort of excitement and pleasure in life is food, then you're going to find it very difficult to lose weight, but also when you've lost the weight, actually keep it off, if those two things in your life are still kind of not bringing you joy and happiness. Yeah,
and that's where like mindful eating comes in to it. So that's why I like to use that as a weight loss method. Like, don't get us wrong, I support my clients with their nutrition, and we'll have like a structure and like a routine, so they're eating regularly, and they're getting all the macronutrients that they need, micronutrients that they need. But like the biggest part is mindful eating, because it doesn't tend to be like, don't get us wrong, people still struggle with like their meals, but it is more often than not, at least with the women that I work with, it's like the snacking, it's the in-between bits, it's the, I was really bored and had a stressful day at work, so I just ate that and it made us feel better. It's like those little things.
Yes.
So when you become more mindful around why you're eating, like you go towards the cupboard and you go to get some biscuits out, it's like, okay, what am I doing here? Like, do I need this?
Yeah.
Have I eaten? Well, and that's what the snack method is. Before I started mentioning the snack method, but like, so it's like, S is like, am I still or am I stressed? Like, am I stressing or am I pretty calm? That's gonna like make a big difference to whether you want to eat or not.
Yeah.
So like, if you're stressed, you might want to find a different thing that's actually going to relieve your stress, because I think that's another point as well, is like, because you said about like food making you feel good, it makes you feel good in that moment, but does it actually solve the problem
of that stress that you were feeling?
Does that problem just resurface again 5 minutes later? After you've eaten, like,
but now you feel guilty and you're regretting what you've eaten and you've still got that stress, but it made you feel good for 5 minutes whilst you were scrolling something nice.
Exactly. And that's like the N, do I need this or am I trying to numb?
Yes.
Like, is this
great?
And again, like, you don't have to need every
every single food that
like
you
it's
eat.
okay to eat for like enjoyment or like for celebration. Like we love to eat for celebration, to come together. Like your mum's having us over for like Mother's Day lunch. Like, do you know what I mean? There's so many ways that we use food to celebrate and connect and like commiserate and all those things. So like you don't have to need every single thing that you eat, but if you're dieting, you might not want to eat as much for enjoyment. So yeah, like are you trying to numb something, or do you need this food?
Yeah.
So then you've kind of like gone through that, and then the A is like aware. So again, like are you aware of what you're eating,
or like watching the telly, smashing in a full bag of buttons, and then
or you sat
even
doing work and just like kind of like almost stimming your way through it.
And I think just to quickly mention a point off the back of that, I think a big part around that is like when you're watching something or doing work and eating at the same time, like your brain isn't even registering that you've got a full packet of biscuits or you've got a full meal there, and that meal's going down and then that meal's being finished. Like you're almost eating so much on autopilot that like psychologically your brain isn't registering that you're actually eating food.
Yeah.
So you could finish that meal, and because you've paid no attention to your eating habits and what you're actually doing, then you probably finish the meal and you could be like, oh well, I don't really feel that full. Like I haven't really kind of like clicked on that I've eaten something.
Yeah.
So anyways,
like you haven't got exactly what you needed like from that meal.
Yeah.
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 Because I think as well as it's important that food like hits the spot, not just from like because like you've filled yourself, but like you haven't got that like maybe the crunch you needed, or like
yes,
do you know what I mean? It's got to like hit the spot in like both ways, kind
whether
of thing.
It's
like
sugary or salty, like savoury or sweet, it's got to kind of like
crunchy or smooth or whatever it is that you like.
Well.
This dog's sitting directly under my seat before I even put my legs down. Where was it at? Oh yes, with the snack method.
On the C's.
I wanted the C's.
Well, one with A was aware.
Yeah, so that like so you're not just going through the motions. Why have I forgot the first C? C is this because I don't even need to use the snack method these days because it's deeply ingrained in my brain.
In your brain.
But yeah, so the first C is choice, like remembering that you're the one with the choice. Like even if you're working with me, like it's not my choice. I'm not saying like this is bad, this is good, you shouldn't eat this, you should eat this. Like you're the one with the choice here, you're in control, and like it's what's best for you. What do you need physically? What do you need emotionally? Like what do you need right now? And like the more you do this, the better. It's like when you said about putting your knife and fork down, like you're not gonna just like learn from that the first time, but like after you do that a good few times, you start to be like, yeah, like I actually don't need to finish this meal, or like
no one's gonna take it off us. I can take my time. Yeah,
you learn these things.
Yeah.
And then the last C is just to have compassion. Like whatever you choose to do, like it doesn't have like a moral attachment to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's like a really important thing to think about with food, is like you're not a good or a bad person, or you're not fucking ruined your life, or like, do you know what I mean? You're not like you're not greedy or out of control. It's like it's almost like you're getting more information as well, I think.
Yeah, like, you're learning about yourself. This is a huge part of my coaching, I feel, and I know it's a massive part of your coaching as well, is like a health and fitness journey allows you to learn more about yourself than most other journeys that you could possibly embark on, because you learn about what you like and what you dislike when it comes to food, when it comes to exercise, when it comes to mindfulness practices, because not everyone's going to love meditating, but people who don't love meditating might love reading, or they might love journaling, or they might love having a bath. Do you know what I mean? Oh shit, I need to knock my bottle over. But yeah, it's a journey of self-discovery, embarking on a health and fitness journey, especially if you've got coaches like us.
Yeah.
I hate to blow smoke up our asses, but like, yeah, it's very client-centered. It's very client-centered, and depending on what their metrics of success are, will depend on how we coach them. It's not a case of like, you've been working with me for 16 weeks and I wanted you to lose 20 pounds and you haven't lost 20 pounds, so I'm going to make sure you do burpees for breakfast. Do you know what I mean? Like, not the case. It's much more around the individual who we coach and making it work for them.
And I think a really good thing, like, in terms of what you've just mentioned, is like food is something that you have to encounter
every day.
3 times a day for the rest of your life. And like, might be a little bit controversial. I'm not saying that like, I'm not trying to compare like having a poor relationship with food or struggling with food to like having a drug addiction or something, or like an alcohol addiction. But like, you can avoid things, you can't avoid food.
Yeah.
And you would die.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? You have to eat food. So when you struggle with food, like, that is, it's impossible to overcome unless you overcome it.
Yeah, it's so consuming.
Yeah.
It's so consuming because I've been there. Obviously, like my relationship with food was poor, my body image was poor, my relationship with myself was poor, my emotional intelligence was poor. Do you know what I mean? These are all things which I've had to continuously work on. Just like, obviously, we're not comparing things to like addiction because obviously that's just like a different route altogether. But like, yeah, they're all things which I've had to go out my way to work on consistently over a long period of time for me to get to this position where I am confident in my body, I am confident in myself, I am emotionally intelligent. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, no, I think that's a brilliant point, is that food is something you can't escape. And until you improve that relationship with food, it's going to be something that's going to consume you for the rest of your life, because it consumed me until I repaired mine. Yeah. And again, that's not to say that it's perfect now, but on the whole, and the majority of the time, it is much better than it was.
Yeah. And like doing little diets to kind of help, that's almost just like putting a plaster on like
a bullet wound.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
It's like, it's going to help you for that 8 weeks, but you've got like
the rest of your life.
800 weeks left of your life, at least.
At least.
Yeah.
Wicked. So just a couple of questions, really, just as we're kind of come towards the end. I would love to hear a little bit of a personal story. So obviously I know quite a few ones because we've been together now for
long time.
5 years. Edit that bit out. So what I want to know, and I'm sure everyone's dying to hear, is what is the most unhinged thing that you've done in the name of diet culture, or in the name of becoming smaller, or in the name of fitness and having to look a certain way?
See, most unhinged is a hard one because there's so many things coming to mind. I definitely feel like the colonic irrigation's the most unhinged, just because I feel like that's really dramatic. Right. I feel like that's a really drastic.
Because the first time you mentioned that to me, I was like, "Are you talking Swahili? What? A
colonic irrigation? Because basically, I'm just going to talk you through it. So, also, like, let's just preface this with, I got this off Groupon. I let somebody...
Probably still a couple of £100.
I don't know what was that much, but anyway, by the by. But, like, so I trusted somebody who I found on Groupon so you basically go into, like, it's like a salon. It's not even like a clinic. It's just a salon.
Right, so you go into, like, a hairdressing sort of setting. Hairdressers.
And you lie in a bed. And you get, like, they have this tube. This tube's attached to, like, a big, like,
vacuum.
See-through, but it's, like, see-through.
Right.
They put the tube up your bum, right in there. And there's, like, water in this machine.
Oh, God.
The water rushes into your, like, intestines, your colon, which is, like, colonic irrigation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like pressure. Like, imagine like the worst case of the shit that you've ever had in your life. Like, you know, when you like get that feeling, you're like, I need to go to the toilet now. Like that, but they're like almost like keep it in, so you have this like pressure. You're like, and then they release it, and it like washes it out, cleanses you, and all your little bits of poo, or like you can see it because this machine is like plastic, it's clear. So you can see these little bits of poo like going through.
You're like, yeah,
that's
what I've paid for.
Going to take this, is it?
No, this is definitely not how I thought we were going to end this podcast episode, but here we are.
And then they do that a couple of times, and then like you just have to like sit on the toilet for ages, like in the place, because you just like shitting
water and
shitting
your insides.
Yeah. And I thought like I needed to like cleanse. I remember like afterwards I was like, I went to Tesco and I was like getting everything, looking at the ingredients. I need everything to be sugar free, gluten free. Like I don't need anything like bad.
I've just detoxed my whole colon.
Yeah, and then I think I binged that weekend.
Yeah.
Didn't really, and I didn't lose any inches. No, it
I
didn't
was
happen.
creased. What did the woman say afterwards?
Oh no, that was a different thing.
Was it?
That
Oh,
was when
God.
I got my fat lasered off.
Oh, Jesus.
So that was like, which we know is impossible.
Yeah.
Like it's literally impossible. Like how could you? And all it was like a little. Do you know like when you're pregnant and you get
UV is it? Ultrasound.
Ultrasound. Like, it's like that sort of thing. Just like that, she was like pressing on my tummy.
Mm-hmm.
This was like to laser the fat. I think I went like maybe it was like 4 weeks or like 6 weeks. It was like a course of it. And then at the end, she was like, at the beginning, she wrote down my measurements.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, bear in mind, I was like going to the gym and like doing all the things in this time. And then at the end, she was like, well, check your measurements. She took my measurements. They were bigger. I had gained inches from this fat lasering machine. Mysteriously.
Done the opposite from what you wanted to do. And now your wallet's empty.
Yeah.
And now you're distraught because Karen's just told you that it didn't work, basically. She's got nowhere to hide because the measurements and the data doesn't lie.
It was like, say, for example, like before it was like 33 inches or something. And then she was like, and now it's 34. And I was like, she was like, looking at me and I'm looking at her. And we're like,
yeah.
Great work.
Brilliant.
That was from Groupon as well.
Brilliant. Well, stay away from Groupon. That's what this podcast episode's taught me. And then lastly and finally is if you were to give someone a piece of advice or a quote that you love or something which would allow them to be able to change their perspective or mindset a little bit, what advice or quote would you give?
Does it have to be about relationship with food or just life in general?
Oh, good question. Have you got one for each?
I think like with the relationship with food and the weight loss side of things, it's like take each day as it comes. Because I think, especially if you've spent a long time in diet culture and you've spent a long time in that cycle, you feel this real urgency and like pressure to like lose the weight as quick as possible, like
yes,
8 weeks, 12 weeks, 16 weeks, but like your life isn't for the next 8, 12, 16 weeks, like it's for like years and years and decades from now. And that's what's important, that you're changing your habits and they're gonna stick. So I think like taking each day as it comes rather than like getting overwhelmed by like tomorrow and like next week and the week after and like where will I be in a month, where will I be in 6 months. Like the only thing that you're in control of is like what you're doing today at your next meal. So I think like try to take the overwhelm away from yourself by like
so like zoom out, have that long term and that big picture thinking, but also just focus on one day at a time in your approach to actually making change. So like have that big picture thinking, but just take it I love that, day at a time. Brilliant.
And my life advice would be that like what really resonates with me is like that somebody else's opinion of you is none of your business. Like I actually stand on that. I live by that, of like people can think what they want, like people can have their perceptions of you, opinions of you, from like something of like as small as the food that you're taking into work, or like the starter that you said no to at the restaurant with your friends, all the way to like the choice that you're making in your relationship, or like the bigger things. Is like the only opinion that really matters. Obviously you have care and respect for people's opinions around you, but like what truly matters is like you and what you're choosing for you. And I think that's a good one to keep in mind.
I 100% agree, because I always say it doesn't matter what your partner thinks of you, doesn't matter what your family think of you or your friends think of you, like your most important relationship in your life is the one that you've got with yourself. And if you aren't making decisions based on what you want and you're basing decisions on what you feel like your partner thinks that you should do or your friends think you should do, then it's just going to lead you into a life where you feel unfulfilled and you're not happy and you're not reaching your true potential, which I feel like is what our coaching is all about. Is like getting people to define their metrics of success and allowing them to actually reach that in a way that feels good and is sustainable and they can do it for a long period of time. Well, thank you very much for your time. I'm sure this is going to get a lot of views, and I'm sure everyone watching is being thoroughly appreciative of you sharing all your wisdom. So
Thank you.
on that note, I will put the links in the show notes for both of our Instagrams. If you want to message us, you're more than welcome to. I'll also put in kind of like Gabbi's website if you want to have a little bit more of a look to see about working with Gabs and how that looks. And then
a podcast too.
And then finally is Gabs has her Wellness with Gab podcast. So go check that out if you haven't already. But yeah, we'll love you, Olivia. We'll see you in the next one. You're doing great. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.